Okay, I believe this is part 11 of the Black Rock Redemption, also known as All This New Black Rock. Okay. But why, wondered Mr. Rahman. Mr. Rahman began to feel as if he was going to get his answer when he noticed certain objects taped to the pole. Every 5 feet up, there were 5 feet of pole covered in about 10 DVDs attached to it with a strong silver-colored tape. It was that way all the way to about 5 feet from the silver ball, with the videotape trailing off into the wind. At the bottom, there were only about 3 DVDs attached, all in reach to a person of normal height. As the song Beautiful Strange from Bedrock played off of his SUV speakers, Mr. Rahman tried to pull one of the DVDs off to see what it was, but being drunk, he accidentally broke it into 2 pieces when he noticed that it was taped onto the pole a little too securely. Luckily for him, there were 3 more still in reach of him. To keep from breaking those he could reach, he gingerly tried to pull off a second. There were tape spots from the bottom to up to about 7 feet in length. There were tape spots from the bottom up to about 7 feet in height, making Mr. Rahman realize if those were where DVDs had been attached to previously, then he certainly wasn't the first person to come upon the structure. For there was only one DVD he noticed on the ground. Mr. Rahman thought it wasn't the wind that blew them off, for it seemed that closer to the ground, the less furious the wind. I've got to put that in. Is this still recording? Yeah, it is. Okay. Mr. Rahman was successful in removing the second, and in a close examination, Mr. Rahman drunkenly noticed that the objects taped to the 100-foot pole-like tower were DVDs that spelled out the words Project Oracle 2. When he realized that it was not only another and new Project Oracle, but written in the same cursive handwriting of the broken CD he came across earlier at the bar, a CD that was in the golden computer hit by the couple, Mr. Rahman got excited and thought of the bartender talking about having an old computer or a laptop that could play CDs, and if CDs, then possibly DVDs as well. With such a notion, Mr. Rahman pulled off all the remaining DVDs in his reach and started chasing after Mutt to get the dog back into the car. Mutt was having fun running about on the playa, exhausting Rahman to the point of cursing the dog. "Stupid dog," he shouted. "If you don't come back with me, then die out here. Where you will then." Right when Mr. Rahman started to drive the SUV back to the bar, the dog leaped through the window and bashed up against Mr. Rahman. There was no way the dog wanted to be left out on such a bleak and barren place with no food or water. Mr. Rahman noticed the full moon rising. He had a digital video camera in the glove compartment and felt it was such a grand sight that he set his camera on timer and got himself and Mutt in the picture. Mr. Rahman saw that there was a lot of data on the card of the camera and decided to make a video to show his love for Allah. He felt there was still enough sunlight to make a jihadi video. After putting the dog back into the vehicle, vehicle, Rahman picked up his bomb and Koran and put them in the camera, resting the Koran on the bomb. He then opened up the compartment where spare tires were kept. And there, behind his eyes, was an Uzi machine gun he was possibly going to use, if needed, to buy himself some time to phone up his bomb after crashing his SUV into the casino. Rahman picked up the Uzi, then thought, how am I going to do this? I only have 2 hands. Rahman put the Uzi back into the spare tire area and covered it with the camouflage of a false wheel. He then took up a knife and in his hand picked up the Koran and picked the Koran up off of his bomb and said with a crazed, angry look in his eyes as he held up both the Koran and the knife, I'm Muhammad Abdullah Rahman. I have blown up your Reno casino with this bomb because it is the only way I and my fellow brothers in God can fight the real oppression of Zionism, Zionists who have not only invaded our lands, but continue to bomb our women and children daily, killing our innocent as they steal our oil, like you Americans stole the land of the Native Americans. They continue to rape and murder our wives and oppress us at all levels, humiliating and showing disrespect to our beloved Prophet Muhammad. May Allah pray on him and blessing. When you see the carnage that my wrath brings upon you, realize this: it is you, O infidels, who have brought such suffering upon yourselves. God willing, when this bomb goes off, the entire hotel shall fall gloriously in the same fashion as your World Trade Center, which of course was brought down by your diabolical George Bush, Cheney, CIA, Mossad, and of course the Jews. Mr. Rahman played the video back, hoping he made no mention of the name Allah when saying God, out of fear of getting people to associate Islam with terrorism. He also hoped he didn't say anything near that of Quran 9, 38, 39, and 111, being that those scriptures were the real reason why he was going to pull off such destruction. In the viewing of it, he became disappointed, for he thought he looked way too much like the stereotype of the crazed Muslim terrorist, wacko the world was now all too familiar with. All he needed was some lady shaking her tongue back and forth in a high, shrilly pitched cry to put the icing on the cake, he thought. So disappointed was he in his recitation that he tried it again, this time with his Uzi in one hand and a Koran in the other. But by the time he had the Uzi held up and felt it got to the whole video right, it was too dark to see his bomb or even Uzi. All that could be seen was a silhouette of him with a Koran held up in the moonlight behind him. Damn, that's not good. It will make people think Allah is the pagan moon god. Maybe I can do it better tomorrow. When Rahman pulled the bomb back into his SUV, he noticed a big cardboard box lid on it. Oh no, he said to himself with a sick feeling in his stomach. He slowly opened up the lid, and there before his eyes were about 50 copies of the Koran, one of the brothers placed in his SUV for him to transport to another mosque across town. They were all pictorial translations of the Koran in paperback. In his excitement of taking the bomb up to test in the desert, he totally forgot about the Korans. Rahman laughed. He went all out to not appear to be a Muslim bent on obeying Quran 911, that not only removed the Koran Rahman laughed. He went all out to not appear to be a Muslim bent on obeying Quran 911, that not only did he remove not only did he remove the Koran he had from the glove compartment, he even stole the neighbor's dog to not cause suspicion if he was pulled over. But if he wasn't supposed to be a Muslim, then how would he be able to explain the box of pixel Korans? Rahman thought of the Edgar Allan Poe story, The Black Cat, where the husband killed his wife and walled her body up in the basement, not knowing that, in his concentration of building such a wall, walled up a black cat that would eventually lead to his doom when it would alert the authorities with a loud meow from hell. What the fire, thought Rahman. He took out one of the Korans to possibly read later. He held it up at the night sky and said, "See?" as a way to make Allah happy. When Rahman sat in the seat, he looked at the Koran in his hand and noticed there was a dog next to him. A dog that Muhammad said would be like a picture and keep angels out of your home. And if out of your home, then how would Allah know what you are doing? Rahman smiled and tossed the Koran down front of the passenger seat. Down in front of the passenger seat. He looked at Mutt and said, "I think I'll keep you." With a laugh, he started up his SUV to take it back to the town of Gerlach. Since it was now dark, Mr. Rahman discovered that he couldn't find the exit that led him into the playa. He knew it was to the west, but where was the exit? And was he really going west? Thinking he was seeing lights of the town of Gerlach, Rahman headed in that direction. When he was about 8 miles toward Gerlach, he felt something strange with his SUV. The SUV seemed to be losing traction and slipping about. It gained traction, and he didn't get the same sensation of sliding until he calculated was 5 miles toward Gerlach. I better end it here. Bye.